two folks that want to close us out, and then we are moving to the hot seat. All right. Is there anybody in the audience who wants to expound on privacy, transparency, and closeted behaviors?
Can I say something real quick? I was in a relationship with this guy, okay? When I tell you he knew the Bible from the front to the back, spoken tongues. So next thing you know, I got a phone call. Okay? From the woman he was with before he got with me. And she was a minister in the church. Yes, very much.
Yeah. Anybody? Anybody bold enough? Yeah.
Tell it, y'all. Now I done told y'all about dudes.
Somebody else that you want to tell us about.
All right, come on. I'm going to switch seats with you. You are now the expert. I will switch with you. All right. Come on.
Well, wow. Before we introduce, my name is Anthony Henderson. I'm a celebrity wardrobe stylist. But more importantly, I have been working in styling and doing commentating for the Philadelphia Daily News for over 15 years, doing a column called The Sexy Single. So for over 15 years, 30 people a year, I have talked to, dressed, being single and hearing about why they're single, why they're still single, why they don't want to be single, etc. So I think I got a little something that I could say. Plus I got some friends in the house that I talked to for several hours about this. But I want to piggyback real fast off of something you said earlier about the 5 different levels. Chilling is one of the things that you had left off, and it's funny that you left off maybe because it's an age thing. But chilling is very important, and so is kicking it. And kicking it and chilling are 2 different things. Most of the time when millennials say kicking it, they really do mean kicking it. Walking down the street, they going over to see the parents or maybe hanging out at the movies. But when they say chilling, that means sex. Everybody agree? And I believe sex is a very big. Chilling means sex.
I'm gonna give you the definition.
I found that out.
So when somebody say you want to chill, that straight means sex. When somebody say it's a Netflix night, it means you're not gonna get through the movie. You're not gonna get through that movie. If it's Netflix and chilling, that means sex. So that's where we are with that. And so I think it's safe to say it's not 5, it's 6. I believe chilling is very important, but the importance of it is where does it come in the timeline. So you definitely want to court, and then you definitely want to date and do all the rest of them. But you definitely, in my opinion, need to find that time when you do chill, whether that's 1, 2, or 3 times, because then it brings back to what we're talking about now, to sexuality and privacy. You get to find out where they stand. Whether they just like you for appearances, like your body looks good, your hair looks good. You could be on my arm, you can sit on the front row of the church. But am I compatible with you as far as in sexuality and in the bed? Do I want to really be with you, or do I really just need you? Or do I just need you to be a beard? That's a whole nother word. That's when a woman is with a man, and the man just wants you for appearances. So you're my beard. You're my pocketbook. So you're my pocketbook. So it's very important for me. And I love God, just so you can know that. I do read the Bible. I think it's very much the most important tool to govern yourself by. But children is very important. But you got to find the right time. And this should have to be after courting, after dating, after several different things. And also, by the way, after finding out their credit score. And also, I need to throw this in there.
Wait a minute. So courting and like a chill time, meaning like we just gonna have sex?
Well, no, you gotta do kick it first. You gotta do kick it first. But chilling is gonna come down the line, but definitely before marriage. Because
so you gotta kick it first. So we gotta go bowling.
Yeah, let me tell you why. Because and I preach this all the time. What do you qualify for? But we'll get to that later. Because a lot of times people are in the wrong alley looking for a man. You should definitely chill. I'm gonna tell you why too. You should definitely chill, but if this person is definitely right for you. And I'm not saying chilling right off the bat. I'm saying down the line, you definitely have to experience the waters. I mean, nobody goes and buy a house without seeing. Nobody buys a car without seeing. Nobody goes swimming. Everybody should have, some swimming lessons before they go swimming, or you'll drown. Or you will drown. Now, this is just stuff to think about. I'm not saying govern yourself by what I think, but I'm definitely telling you, you need to think about it. Because let me tell you this, and we all could be transparent. How many times have we just had sex? You have to say it out loud. In fact, I'm closing my mouth. How many times have you had sex with a person that you didn't know really well, but you did it? But now here it is, a person that you really know really well and that you think that you can marry, but now you want to hold off on that one important part, which is sex. And I think sex is a big part to keep a relationship going. I know several people who are in a relationship and they love the person, but they're not sexually attracted to them anymore for several reasons, different reasons. And so you want to make sure sex is a very important, and I'm saying be safe, of course. Let me put that out there, be safe, you know. But it's something that, and you do have to talk about sexuality before you even have the sex. You know, but people can tell you one thing, but actions speak louder than words.
Amen.
As well. So,
look at the hands. Look.
Don't you think sex is a decision-making factor in whether you're going to go further in a relationship or not? Because, so what I'm saying is, like, we can maybe not go further, but if we do have sex, that might make a decision for us of whether we're going to go to the next step or not. You understand what I'm saying? It plays a really big part in the next step. So if we're getting into that before we go to the next step, aren't we kind of clouding our judgment a little bit?
But it all depends on what your next step is. As I stated before, I just believe that before you get married, you might want to test the waters. You might want to test the waters, and that's just my personal opinion. I'm not saying do it because you met him on Tuesday and went out on 3 dates and now it's a month later you're having sex with him because you know that's a big part of a relationship. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that once Dr. Marquita's mother say it's okay, you know, and she has stated, you know, once your parents say it's okay, or you know, you get all the
I'm probably not gonna ask my mama.
well, not about sex, about the man. But I'm saying, I was as an example, like you might confide in your mother or somebody. Once it's a green light on every part of the relationship, that also should come into play as well, because that's a big area. Sex is a very big area. I do not believe that you should just wait until after you're married.
Can I say something? My thing is, we're grown, okay? Excuse the expression, you be damned if you do, damned if you don't. How about we knock this out the way, okay? Because if it's trash, I don't want to be bothered with it.
You could.
Okay?
Now, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm not disagreeing with you.
But wait, so I have a question. Is there any room for improvement, exaggeration?
Baby, baby, no.
I disagree a bit because I think that a lot of stuff has messed up in the beginning. So at 14 to 15, when we become quote, young adults, we've been doing things that I think we probably shouldn't have been. So we've already turned on the light switch, and when that light switch is already on, you can't turn it off.
Yeah.
I do believe that it clouds your judgment. So yes, it's good. It's good and you want it, but guess what? Now you know he don't pay his bills on time, but you're like, oh, that's all right, I'm going to work every day. Oh, now you know, well, he done popped me in my head, but he only do it when he loves me. See, we start making excuses because it's good. You understand what I'm saying? But when you do it right, see, there's a difference between feeling good and fulfilling. See, a lot of times what we do what feels good, and then when it's over, you don't get that phone call because you're not fulfilled after it. And that's the difference. And so I think it's important that I'm not 100% against the whole buying the car or whatever you say, but I do believe that, you know, but I think there's a level of commitment. I don't know how, because it's like, you know, we do. So I'm trying to like navigate the conversation.
This is the reason why we're crippled right now. This is the reason why the choir members are screwing the drummers, getting pregnant by the drummers, but they blaming the baby on somebody else because they can't say it was the drummers that passed their son.
Okay.
We want to slay the thing tonight.
So I do believe that the intimacy can come with the commitment. And I think what's happening is we think we're committed, but they're not committed to us.
Right.
And I think once you realize that the commitment has arrived,
Yes.
then I believe, I mean, this is my thing, you're grown, you're okay. But I think that you both need to be aware of the commitment taking place. And a lot of times, we're like, oh, well, I love him and I ain't going nowhere, but he don't love you. And now you messed up because you sitting there strung out because it's good and you making excuses, but he ain't never home.
All right.
We had a comment right here.
Right.
So I totally agree with my husband. For over 11 years we've been married. And so, bombshell. I totally agree with him. But it's definitely something that's really important and that you should know when to do it, how to do it, so you can be fulfilled and satisfied and all that good stuff.
All right.
I think that we have to be extremely careful applying human reasoning over divine wisdom. Right? This is the issue that we've been having all along with the relationships in our lives. That we have applied the best of our own human reasoning over and above divine wisdom. So I think that always puts us in a very dangerous place. Here's another thing I would like to add, since we are in the transparent section of the evening. In its etymology, the word penis means sword. In its etymology, the word vagina means sheath. Every time a sword is made, a sheath, watch this, is particularly made
To cover it.
for that sword. So the idea, watch this, man, watch who you let sheath your sword. This idea that you should just do what you want to do, feel good, I do what I like to do. There's a sword and there's a sheath, and in God's original design, there's one sword for one sheath. Now, whether or not we have transgressed it, I certainly have time and time and time and time again. That does not change the fact that we do not, at least in our rational minds when we're thinking the right way, have the right to put my human reasoning, which is largely flawed because of my traumatization, because of the fact that I've been doing things that I had no business doing at the wrong time, wrong age. The Bible says, do not awaken love before it's time. I've been doing these things, and so now desire has been stirred. Watch this. If a child is molested or abused, you have excellent counseling in place to tell them that what happened to you was wrong.
You there now.
You ain't really getting the good counseling until you let them know that, albeit what happened to you was wrong, now desire has been stirred.
That's right.
And you got to learn how to deal with that desire that you have.
That's right.
And if you just using your human reasoning, your desire will lead you all over the place. And I wish I could get 5 amens for some of us that the desires that I have in my flesh do not necessarily bring about the glory of God. Now, because we have preached Christianity and religion in such abstract terms, we cannot see how God is saying, I invented it, so I know more about it than y'all do. We can't see that in our traumatization, because how can you going to know more about it and feel good to me? Well, you ain't the one that created it. One sword, one sheath. So.
But the sister said, how am I find that sword for my sheath?
Right.
Now it's a little testing.
How you know if it fits?
Right. Like I trust God.
Right. I think that at some point we have to be honest about the fact, and it's okay, that we don't really trust God to make these decisions for us.
Can I jump in for a minute? Because I need to have a moment of transparency myself. I teeter between these two.
Why wouldn't you? That's
I teeter because and it's crazy because when I gained control of myself and started fornicating less and got to know myself more, it made what I need so much more heightened and important that it became, so yeah, I'm going to have to test this out because I'm going to need this to be right, because when I say I do, I never want to say I don't. So there was a justification that took place because I was reserving myself, preserving myself, but at the end of the day, if I'm 100% honest, I'm finna test that sword.
We want to do. Let's just be honest with
I know it's not what I'm supposed to do.
We all know that. We all
got that part.
Yeah, like I started fornicating when I was 13, so we all know whether or not we're supposed to be doing it or not doing it.
Right.
But at some point, what we really are talking about beyond human sexuality is, at some point, do we move to divine surrender? This is not the popular part of the conversation, because the truth of the matter is, what we are all hoping for is that God will co-sign our decision making and not ask us to do what it is that He wants. So if me and God in a room together,
That's good.
Only one of us is omniscient.
Right.
And it ain't the person called me.
Right. Right.
So we have to really be honest about the fact, God, I don't really trust you to make decisions as it pertains to my relationship. What we don't realize is that the God that we don't trust is the God that we created. It ain't the real God in the first place. Because at the point at which we decide that we know better than he does, guess who becomes our God? Us. So what we're really saying to ourselves is we can't be trusted.
Right.
And look at the track record that we have in our failed relationships.
Exactly.
I cannot be trusted on my own to get the kind of relationships that God would have for me in my life.
Exactly.
And I'm not failing because God is failing. I'm failing because I'm failing.
Exactly.
And own that.
And I have to own that. And watch this. I'm okay with the fact that we have to be honest about the fact that God don't really trust you. Adam and Eve ain't trust him.
Say that.
So I mean, it's not a big. It's not right, but we understand. They didn't trust him either, and they walked with him in the garden in the cool of the day.
Right.
That's it right there.
Let me sound like something because we did have a conversation last Soul Chat about standards. There is a standard now. I know this to be very true. So can we talk about some of those things that may be standards, not necessarily lists? Well, there are some non-negotiables. My youngest daughter father, because he made up, he had all these pros and he didn't know the Lord, I just let that go. Because he was a good guy and he was a this and he was a that. But now, glad to say that the list has changed. So salvation is it's a standard now. It's not a part of the list. And I think we have a right to certain things, and I love the way you end it. So what is the standard for you? What is the personal standard for the panel and for my audience members? What is the standard? What is your personal standard that you are not wavering on? It's just not happening. Let's start there.
We are what we attract.
Yeah.
Whether it is that we like it or not, whatever it is that we're getting in our life, there's an energy that we're putting out that's attracting.
Yeah.
Right? So if we don't like it, we gotta look at ourselves and look at what we're putting out and why we're putting it out. So in terms of, standards, over the years, we've had these conversations. And I mean, you get your giggles with your girlfriends about teeth and and employment and all of that. But it really, for me, it's about a value system. So I look for people who share my values around honesty, around integrity. Integrity is so important to me. I need to be able to be my whole self, I need to be able to be It's like I need to be a whole person and not an idea of a woman and what you think she's supposed to be.
Right.
So it really is value-based, character-based for me.
Very nice.
So I want to know a clear definition. Is that I feel good, so I'm going to be with you? Is that
No,
a
when I say
thing?
dating at the level of our own self-esteem, right? It really deals with where you are, how you feel about yourself, and what you're attracting based on how you feel about you. So what we're really trying to stay away from is allowing our personal dysfunction to feed over into the relationships that we have with other people.
So if she's promiscuous, she's going to, that's her title. That's what she's attracted to.
Promiscuity may be the outcome of hurt, of trauma, of grief, of, you know what I mean?
Right.
So it's more about what's in here. You can see the outward behavior of it, which might be smoking, drinking, sleeping around. It really is about what that's about underneath the behavior.
Right.
I always get worried as a red flag, maybe somebody else can agree with me on this, right? We all have friends, and they always complaining about the people that they with. I'll take it a step further since it's just us. Right? I've seen this happen a lot of times.
And a million people watching.
Right.
Speak it.
You date a person. I've seen people date people that they know are not where they are spiritually, so that they don't have to listen to anything they have to say. Or they always wind up looking like the better person in a relationship. Right? Personally, if you ask me, come to me, oh, really? So, and I was with this guy and he did this and he did this and he did this and he did this. Well, number one, he's not here to defend himself. Right? Or she's not here to defend herself. I would have to ask in the realm of believers, right? If you're a believer and you're dating somebody that's not a believer, only one of y'all know better. And maybe they can't get to the cross because you keep uncrossing your legs.
Say that. Let me stop you. Hold on. 63 years.
Right.
63 years.
Right.
Automatic. But, so I was there for the story. It was God. It was 6 months. I love you, I'm marrying you. Turns into 63 years. The standard was met. That gave me hope just for this week. That kept my legs closed this